This weekend at AEW Double or Nothing 2021, we will see the third ever men's Casino Battle Royale, with 21 participants fighting it out to be crowned the new #1 contender for the AEW World Championship. All but one of the participants have been announced at this point, with one mystery wrestler set to be the final entrant as the wild card of the match. Today we will look at 10 candidates that could fill the vacant spot, with many fans expecting a new face to join the All Elite Wrestling roster. But before we get to the list, let's quickly mention a few people that it can't be. Any of the WWE releases from April 15th, which includes names such as Samoa Joe, Bo Dallas and Kalisto, cannot appear due to their 90-day no-compete clause still being in effect. However, there are a couple of recently departed WWE wrestlers who it could be, but we'll get to those later on in the video. So let's start with the first candidate, Rich Swann. Swann is coming off the back of a 6-month reign as Impact World Champion before eventually losing the title at the Rebellion pay-per-view to the belt collector Kenny Omega. With the winner of the Casino Battle Royale set to earn a shot at Omega somewhere down the line, could Rich Swann be set to invade Kenny's home base in order to seek revenge on the man that dethroned him just over a month ago? It isn't out of the question, not only due to the working relationship between AEW and Impact, but Swann's contract is said to have expired this month, with no word on if he has re-signed or if he is currently working for Impact on a pay-per-appearance deal. Either way, there's a good chance Swann will enter at number 21 and earn his shot at redemption. Speaking of Impact wrestlers, another option for the Battle Royal is somebody who is the current #1 contender for Omega's Impact strap, that being Moose. The former American football player's Impact contract is said to be expiring next month, and it's possible he could jump to AEW when he becomes a free agent. It has been reported that he did sign a new contract, but this is something that Moose himself has denied, although this could be part of a storyline. If he has re-signed, we could see the victory in the Battle Royal as part of the storyline in Impact Wrestling, and to help boost sales for the Against All Odds pay-per-view where Moose takes on Omega. A victory for Moose could turn the scheduled Impact title match into a double title match, with the AEW belt being added to the stipulation. I do think it's possible, just not as likely as the others. Next up we have Chris Hero, a man many longtime independent wrestling fans consider, well, a hero. In 5 of the last 9 years, Hero was working for WWE in their developmental brands FCW, NXT, and then most recently NXT UK under the name Cassius Ohno. He is said to have taken up the role of more of a player coach, being a valuable asset to the development of future WWE superstars. In April 2020, Ohno was released from WWE for the second time as part of their budget cuts. Fans have anticipated an AEW debut for a while now, and Sunday could be the time to strike. He would be a great addition to the AEW locker room, once again acting as a player coach, this time in All Elite Wrestling. Aged 41, it's unknown if he has any desire to have one last run, but if he did, he'd be a great addition to the AEW locker room, bringing not only talent, but the experience to pass on to his fellow colleagues. Ryback is one of WWE's biggest missed opportunities in recent times. These days, he's not exactly the wrestling community's favourite wrestler, but at his peak in WWE, he was on the brink of becoming their next top babyface. He initially went on a Goldberg-esque streak before it ended at Hell in a Cell 2012 in a cell match against CM Punk for the WWE Championship. This seemed like the perfect time to strike the iron while it was hot, but unfortunately for Ryback, that wasn't to be. From there, he never reached those heights again, falling down the card before being released in August 2016 after several disagreements between the two parties. Whilst he hasn't competed in a wrestling ring for almost 3 years, he has teased a return on social media multiple times, and it has been reported that he has been in talks with AEW in the past. His presence would add a lot of star power to the roster, and with AEW needing more high-profile high-profile names with a second network TV show around the corner, Ryback could be a smart choice. A spot in the Casino Battle Royale could be the perfect place to feed him more. When Kenta showed up on Dynamite in January breaking through the forbidden door, it brought a lot of talk about dream matches between New Japan and AEW talent, and on the top of many people's list was Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi. Kota and Kenny go a long way back, being longtime tag team partners as the Golden Lovers, with even talk that the two were in a real-life relationship. This was until Kenny Omega turned to the dark side, joining the Bullet Club. This caused the two to go their separate ways before an emotional reunion in 2018. If Kota was to show up and win the Battle Royal, it would set up the match most fans are waiting for. Depending on the future of the vacant IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, we could even see a double title match with Omega adding another belt to his collection. Tessa Blanchard has been one of the most talked about free agents in recent times, with rumours of her signing for AEW and WWE circulating on a regular basis. The former Impact World Champion is coming off the back of a series of allegations that damaged her public image, which has led to major promotions distancing themselves from her, at least for now. Fans do seem more willing to accept Tessa back into the wrestling space as time passes, and AEW could be her next destination. It makes a lot of sense considering her father Tully is currently managing the Pinnacle, which could lead to Tessa becoming the stable's first ever female member. Yes, the Casino Battle Royale is scheduled to be a men's match, but a woman appearing in men's battle royals isn't a new thing. Chyna, Nia Jax and Awesome Kong have all taken part in the men's Royal Rumble, and Blanchard also has a long history of competing against men, going as far as to making history, becoming the first female Impact World Champion. If she was to show up, I wouldn't put her down as a favourite to win, but it could set up an impactful debut which sees her getting some big eliminations before being announced as the next member of the Pinnacle on the next episode of Dynamite. Paul White, formerly known as The Big Show, joined AEW in February of this year to the surprise of many. He was announced as the commentator for the company's new YouTube show, AEW Dark Elevation, which then premiered on March 15th. Since then, we've only seen White as an on-screen interviewer and commentator, with him yet to step foot in the ring for a match. However, it is worth remembering that in the statement released when Show was signed, it stated that he would be an in-ring performer. Currently, White is scheduled to be the guest announcer for the Casino Battle Royale this weekend, but this could just be to set up an appearance in the match as he steps out of the commentary chair and into the ring as the final entrant. His size would see him as a big favourite for the match and would be seen as a threat should he be the next #1 contender for the AEW World Championship. Nick Gage has been the talk of the wrestling world over the past 2 weeks after Dark Side of the Ring took a deep dive into the life of the controversial deathmatch star. Following, let's say, an eventful life, Gage is one of the most feared men in the industry, having successfully blurred the lines between character and real life, reminding many of the recently deceased New Jack. Gage would be an excellent addition to the AEW roster, giving the company a real edge and potentially a new face of their AEW Rampage show. That is if the show ends up being a more adult orientated product as many anticipate. Not only that, but he would be the perfect candidate as the next FTW champion. Gage is currently feuding with Jon Moxley over in GCW, which could spill over into AEW. An unsuccessful attempt in the Battle Royal for Gage could potentially lead to him costing Eddie Kingston and Moxley the tag titles later on in the night. The unpredictability that Gage would bring to the show would be exciting to see, and he would certainly get the wrestling world's attention given his new level of fame. Despite having been released from WWE within the last 90 days, unlike the releases we mentioned at the start of the video, this next candidate is not subject to the 90-day no-compete clause. Andrade was granted his release from New York on March 21st and is now free to appear wherever he chooses. The former United States champion is set to face the current AEW World Champion Kenny Omega at Triple Mania in August for the AAA Mega Championship, and what better way to kickstart their rivalry than have the Idol make his AEW debut at Double or Nothing before setting up an AEW World title match before the August show. With there still being 3 months until Triple Mania goes down, this gives Andrade the time to have an AEW World Championship match before losing via shenanigans thanks to Omega's buddies. This would then set up the perfect revenge storyline, with Andrade coming away as the top champion in Mexico on the grandest stage of the Mexican wrestling calendar. And before we get into our final pick, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming AEW content as we head towards the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. And while you're down there, why not help support the channel by using our FIGHT affiliate link in the description below, where you can purchase the pay-per-view for under $20 if you're an international viewer. But with that said, let's get back to the video. And finally, we have probably the most unlikely on this list, but no doubt the most exciting. Coming off the back of his WrestleMania main event appearance, losing to Roman Reigns in a triple threat alongside Edge, Daniel Bryan is now a free agent after his WWE contract reportedly expired on May the 4th. Naturally, this has sparked rumours on what his future may hold, with talk of one last independent tour for Bryan Danielson before he hangs up his boots. Before WWE, Bryan was the quintessential independent wrestler, performing all over the world for several promotions, becoming the ultimate internet darling along the way. Given Bryan's freelance spirit, another world tour isn't out of the question, having expressed an interest in one last run in Mexico, which could bleed over into Japan and America. Considering the dream matches that he could have that he wouldn't otherwise be able to see in WWE, it's likely to appeal to Bryan, and one of those dream matches is Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. That's if he was to add AEW to his bucket list. Can you imagine the pop from a packed out Daily's place where Bryan Danielson to grace them with his presence? It would truly be one of the most groundbreaking moments in AEW history, topping the debut of Jon Moxley 2 years ago. Is it likely? No, no, no. But would it be epic? Yes, yes, yes. And before you go, why not check out 10 wrestling contracts that expire after WrestleMania, where we discussed Bryan's free agency before it was announced.